Is SCP-2317 the Scarlet King? The Scarlet King is often theorized to possibly be the true or final stage of SCP-2317, an untold horror that even the SCP Foundation has difficulty containing and documenting. He is the creator of SCP-682 and SCP-999. What is the Broken God? The Church of the Broken God is a religious cult that believes in the superiority of machines and the weakness of natural flesh and blood. They are one of the main enemies of the SCP Foundation. The Broken God, the cult worships as McCain. Are SCP-682 and 999 related? SCP-682, also commonly known as the hard-to-destroy reptile, is an SCP object and one of the most well-known and dangerous objects in the SCP Foundation's care. It is a Keter-level being and the offspring of the Scarlet King and the Fourth Bride and is SCP-999's half-brother. Who is SCP-666? Description: SCP-666 is a young female girl that she must remain with at all times, otherwise a DEFCON 3 type event can occur. In events where must leave, SCP-666 has the ability to track his movements, location, and thoughts at all times. What is the strongest SCP in the world? SCP-3812. Hands down the most powerful reality warper above the SCP narratives and one of the most powerful fictional beings ever written. His author Ben already stated that he was well aware that he was in a fictional narrative and instantly transcended it. Is Connor a real SCP? Although he does not appear in any proper SCP articles on the actual wiki, Connor is suspected to be a Thaumiel Object Class SCP as he is an anomaly that aids in the containment of other SCPs and he is not fully human. Connor's SCP file is completely redacted, including both his SCP number and object class. Don't forget to subscribe for more of these videos.